Hello and welcome to Sports Room. I'm Anirudh Madhavan and with me is veteran journalist Ayaz Memon. On today's episode, we will relive the final, though many of you would not want us to, and also look at the future of this Indian team going ahead. So, Ayaz, first of all, heartbreak for India once again in the knockouts and clinical performance by the Australians. They outplayed India in every department, especially fielding, I would say.
You're
But
absolutely.
do you think India misread the conditions?
All kinds of rationalization can happen in hindsight.
Yeah.
My reading is, Anirudh, that major matches, especially finals, etc., are won on two counts. One is moments of magic produced by a certain team, or it could be a combination of the two. Great tenacity, great resilience, great determination, great ambition shown by a team. Now, let me give you an example, and it comes from the 1983 World Cup win of India. You know, the moment of magic or the moments of magic in the final against the West Indies came. Balwinder Singh Sandhu bowling that banana in swinger to Gordon Greenwich, and then Kapil Dev taking that fantastic catch to dismiss Viv Richards. If you want to look at tenacity and resilience, you have to go back to Kapil Dev's 175. It didn't come in the final, but it was instrumental in India reaching the final and then thereafter winning it. And then again in 1992, let's look at what happened with Pakistan. They were almost out of the tournament. Then they fought back brittly with a lot of determination in the final. That magical over by Wasim Akram, 2 wickets of two deliveries, sealed the fate of the match. You need these moments of magic to kind of take you across, and put you into a winning position, which happened with Australia. Look at the catch that Travis Head took. You mentioned about fielding. I think that was in many ways the turning point of the match, because if Rohit Sharma had continued in the same vein for another 7, 8, 9 overs, he would have run away with the match. And look at what Travis Head did. He ran back, looking over his shoulder, taking that catch, diving full length in front. And not just that, thereafter he comes and plays one of the most astonishing knocks we've seen in World Cup history. We've seen many hundreds and finals. This must rank amongst the best. It's anyway a special performance to make a century in a World Cup final. He's done it. And he's done it twice now. In the WTC final, if you remember, in the World Test Championship final, he smashed a breathtaking 100. Here he's made a very resourceful, very aggressive 100 counter attacking. So he's become, in a sense, nemesis number one for India. And India just didn't have that same, couldn't produce the same magic. You know, uh, it was a modest score, fine. So you want to win that with a modest score, then you need moments of magic. It seemed that when they were 47 for 3, that we had got there, especially with Steve Smith getting out, having a brain fade, not taking a review. But thereafter, the way Head and Labuschagne kind of steered their team out of trouble. And look at what Australia has done throughout the tournament consistently against Afghanistan, against New Zealand, against South Africa in the semi-finals, and then in the final. So you have to doff your hat to Australia. They've done all the hard running, the heavy lifting, and they've come out victorious.
Yeah, and as I was saying in the last episode, it seems like Australia nationally in the cricketing fraternity seem to have this muscle memory when it comes to finals. But anyway, we shouldn't forget that India had its best ever campaign apart from the final, and Rohit Sharma led from the front. So a word on Rohit's captaincy.
Look, this is one of the most fantastic campaigns I've seen. We ended up on the losing side. India ended up on the losing side. So that's obviously heartbreaking. But, this was amongst the most captivating performances by any team that I have seen over the years. I haven't seen any team perform like this, not just from India, even from, Australia has had 11 victories in 11 matches in 2015. But the comprehensive manner in which India has gone about, not just the comprehensive manner, but the texture, the tenor of the wins, the kind of fast bowling we've seen from Shami and Bumrah, the batting from Rohit at the top, to the sublime effort of Virat Kohli, who played the fulcrum to perfection. Great batting from Iyer and KL Rahul, till of course the final. And the spinners also coming into play. So the tempo, the momentum that the Indian team maintained right through, it just brought, it just fired the imagination of everybody, not just in the subcontinent or in India, but across the cricket world. Now, as it happens in sport, it's one of those things. It can be cruel. Sport can be cruel. You have one bad day, and if it happens to be in the final, there you are. The what India's performance reminded me of, Anirudh, and you are also great football lover and an expert. So if you remember how Holland or the Dutch played total football under Johan Cruyff in 1974 in the World Cup, they just brought the attention of the whole world to the way they were going about doing it, and then they lost in the final. So it can happen, but memories of this will linger. No, obviously India need to pick up the pieces and move ahead. The world doesn't come to an end. As Rahul Dravid, the chief coach, mentioned that there's going to be another match, another tournament tomorrow, another World Cup 4 years from now. India need to, it's not going to be easy. There will be a lot of remorse, I would imagine, amongst a lot of players. And therefore, how to rebuild from here is going to be the challenge for some of the senior players, certainly, because their careers are not as long. You can't see that as long as some of the younger players can. But the whole, you know, that should be the effort now of the administration, the selectors, the big wigs of those who run in Indian cricket, including the players, that you don't let it impact your psyche so much that you don't recover swiftly.
Yeah, talking about the administration and one of the problems is that with India not winning, heavily expected to win, but India not winning, a lot of arguments and debates that had surfaced in the beginning of the tournament, like the mess around ticketing, fans not attending, pitches in the semi-final, those arguments, they're all resurfacing now. And perhaps it was hoped that an India win would gloss over everything, but now that India haven't won, a lot of those discussions are coming back.
Yeah, look, if you win and it's glossed over, then the problem will remain. It'll persist. So I think there were issues about the ticketing. There are lessons to be learned so that next time it doesn't happen in the same way. Obviously, it becomes then an embarrassment for no reason. That could have been easily streamlined. Also, I thought, and a couple of other things which I must highlight here. In the match itself, towards the end, when it was certain that India was losing, the stadium completely emptied out virtually. One would have thought that it turned out to be a fantastic tournament. India, the two best teams in the final, they both had fantastic matches. They deserved a standing ovation from a packed crowd, not from a sparse crowd where the only thing remaining is to give the medallions and the cup. That would happen in any case. And that's where I feel we need to understand and kind of grow as a sporting nation. Our fans are intense. They are very emotional. They are very passionate, which is why which is why India is such a great cricketing nation. But you must also acknowledge, there are matches you will win, there are matches you will lose. But the players who perform, they deserve far better. And the other thing, which of course has emerged suddenly out of the blue, is and it's now been floating around on social media. I've also tweeted about it and stuff. Is not inviting the 1983 World Cup team or the 2011 team, winning team. This is an occasion to showcase your cricket history and legacy. It's about 25, 30 people you have to call. It's not too many when your capacity is 130,000. Now, I don't know what exactly. Remember, this is it was an ICC event, but the BCCI was pretty much in charge. Why, somebody like a Kapil Dev or an MS Dhoni couldn't be called? And anyway, half of them were there from the 83 team and from the 2011 team doing jobs as commentators or, and whatever else. So, this is something that I feel strongly about. I think that something like this should be done. When you have the World Cup in your own country and you've got two teams in the past who won and they're all around, you have to put the spotlight on them and let the people savor, the cricket fans, of what these guys have done in the past.
Yep, agree with that totally. But now moving on, lastly, what I want from you is we would like to have your 11 of the tournament
Yeah.
now.
Okay. So my 11. Okay. I've been sitting and trying to work this out. In fact, my list has been drawn as it happens has been drawn from all the semi-finalists. Four semi-finalists. So my team would be Rohit Sharma and Travis Head to open. I had to push Quinton de Kock, who made 4 centuries, aside because Travis had made a century in the final, and that matters a great deal. And he was a match winner. He helped Australia win the title. I also thought that Quinton de Kock had a poor semi-final. He missed a couple of chances as a wicketkeeper, played a loose shot, got out early, which set back South Africa. So my choice as Rohit Sharma's partner, and Rohit Sharma, I don't hardly need to explain why he's there because his blazing bat was amongst the most delightful aspects of this World Cup for me. So it's Rohit Sharma and not Quinton de Kock, Travis Head, which is the right-left combination. Then Virat Kohli, magnificent tournament, 765 runs, the highest ever in World Cup history. He was a pillar, he was the fulcrum on which India's, you know, where India became a juggernaut. It started with Rohit and Rahul and Shreyas Iyer and some of the others finishing strongly. But if there was no Kohli, then maybe that would not have been possible. So that's number 3 for me. Number 4, I've actually chosen Rachin Ravindra because he's had such a great tournament. He's a youngster, 23-year-old, uh, you know, 3 centuries I think he's got in this tournament. And he's obviously one of the big emerging stars in the world of cricket. He also bowls a bit of left arm spin. So he's there. The other batsman, number 5, is also a Kiwi for me, which is Daryl Mitchell. He's also had a couple of centuries. He was rock solid in the middle order. He could attack, he could defend, he could play the long innings. And he's had, if you look back at some of the stats he's had in the last 18-20 months, they are mind boggling. So that's my number 5. Number 6, and I've gone for a South African here. So I didn't have Quinton de Kock as a wicketkeeper batsman, but I've chosen Heinrich Klaassen as my wicketkeeper batsman from South Africa. Devastating finisher, as we've seen. Uh, Clean pair of hands, glove work is excellent, a dynamic batsman, and he could be the right guy to be at the finish towards the if it's needed. And as it happens, he's kind of pushed out KL Rahul from the team for me. So I would go with Klaassen. Then it would be Glenn Maxwell. How can you have a team without him? He's played 2 of the most astonishing knocks. One was the fastest 100 in World Cup history, and the other was the 201 not out, which kind of extricated Australia from the dumps to victory. One of is now being touted as the best innings ever in ODI history, and it might be. I think he's moved ahead of Kapil Dev. So that's number 7. Have I got that? Number 7?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and then it would be Pat Cummins. He might not have the most number of wickets, but look at the influence he's had on this World Cup. And Pat Cummins would also be my captain of the team. Much as it's been a magnificent campaign led by Rohit Sharma, you have to acknowledge the winning captain. Even in the last match, the final, it was Pat Cummins's astute bowling changes, the kind of pressure he applied on the Indian batsmen. Before that, he shared that vital partnership with Glenn Maxwell to take his team home. And then after that, with Mitchell Starc as a batsman to take his team home, he's chipped in with vital wickets every now and then. So he was, in my opinion, a certain inclusion. And once he's in the team, he's going to be the captain. He just edges out Rohit Sharma there as the captain. So that's him. Number 9 would be Jasprit Bumrah. He's not the highest wicket taker, but every time he came on to bowl, it looked like there was the jitters in batsmen. So he would be the unorthodox, but so difficult to face, and even on Indian pitches. The number 10 would be Mohammad Shami. How can you ignore him? 24 wickets in what, 6 or 7 matches. Missed out on the first 3 or 4. We don't know how many more wickets would have got, but he just raised, as we saw, raised fast bowling to an art form with his skill. It's just extraordinary the way he's performed in this World Cup. He actually brought along with the batsmen. But if the bowlers hadn't performed, and especially Shami and Bumrah, then I think we wouldn't have even been in the final in that sense. And remember, Shami, for about a couple of years, was struggling to get a place in the white ball team. Then he's come back into T20, he's come back into ODIs, and not just come back, he's the maestro. So he's number 10, and Adam Zampa, I would pick him. 23 wickets, leg spinner, very vital cog in Australia's campaign. Didn't do much in the final if you consider wickets taken, but he bowled really well. And remember, India, known to be very good players of spin bowling, they couldn't take him apart, even batting in the first half of the day. So I thought just Adam Zampa. And then the 12th man, it might surprise a few, but Gerald Coetzee is a youngster. He wouldn't have been in the team had Andre and like Norke been fit, but look at the way he performed, especially in the semi-final. He's so, he's so spirited, he's so strong, and he's so ambitious. So these are my 12. And what you got there, Anirudh, in this team, you got a fantastic, in my opinion, fantastic top order, right-left combination, uh, all-rounders like Rachin and Glenn Maxwell, who can both spin. You got a leg spinner. You got Maxwell as an off spinner. You got a left arm spinner, and an array of fast bowlers who define various attributes. So that's my 12 from this as the team of the tournament.
Yeah, and I don't think many will complain about that. And lastly, I just want to say to heartbroken Indian fans that cricket continues, and in a few days there's a series against Australia, so cricket keeps going on. So
I think
don't
I
be
think
disheartened.
I think the only lesson we need to take from Australia, we must take a lesson from our defeat, right? So we've lost
Yep.
2015 in the semis, 2019 in the semis. We made a little progress. We've got into the final in 2023, but we've not won that. So I think the Aussies showed us they had some of the toughest matches in the tournament, including in the final. It wasn't easy for them playing in India, not overseas, not in their home conditions. The fight back, the resilience, the hunger to succeed, it has to become part of your mindset and your whole, kind of growing up training culture in sports. So that's a lesson to be drawn. We've got fantastic talent, an abundance of talent, cricketing talent in India, but we have to start to learn how to win tournaments.
Yeah, and as I was saying, that opportunity to learn from tournaments keeps happening because there's a tournament every year now. There's a World Cup next year, and other Champions Trophy the year after that. And like I said earlier, in a few days there's a T20 series against Australia, which I don't think many people will be tuning into. But that's what I was saying. Cricket continues, and there'll be more chances. So don't be disheartened. And that's it for this episode of Sports Room. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Anirudh.